Hari Hari Satadine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, Samavada Vangalatika has a hand enthusiastically raised there. So you can lead us into this 29. Hare Krishna. Let's see, we might stop midway, let's see, or we might complete the whole purple. But go ahead.
Is it starting where we speak of Krishna's kindness?
Yeah.
That's it. Okay,
great, thank you. We speak of Krishna's kindness, but even the punishments he metes out are worthy of praise. To this there have been many witnesses, including Kamsa, Kaliya, and Putana, and in the more distant past, Bali and others. Commentary. While Kamsa was ruling Mathura, the dread of being killed by Krishna tormented him constantly. But as a side effect of this involuntary meditation, Kamsa became completely Krishna conscious. Sukadeva Goswami describes, while sitting on his throne or in his sitting room, while lying on his bed, or indeed while situated anywhere, and while eating, sleeping, walking, or drinking, Kamsa saw only his enemy, the Supreme Lord, Sri Kesha. In other words, by thinking of this all-pervading enemy, Kamsa became unfavorably Krishna conscious. Bhagavatam 10:2-24. At the time of Kamsa's death, Krishna dragged him from his platform in the arena and jumped on his chest. Thus, as Kamsa left his body, he was able to feel Krishna's foot on his chest and see Krishna's blessed face. After Kamsa's death, Krishna arranged a royal funeral, attended by the Yadu princes, the cowards of Raj, and Lord Krishna himself. Like a dear friend of the family, Krishna further consoled Kamsa's widows and granted the vacant throne to Kamsa's father, Ugrasena. Being punished by Krishna also spiritually benefited many allies of Kamsa, including the wrestlers of Mathura and kings like Jarasandha. Only the most malevolent of enemies of the Lord, namely Shishupal and Dantavakra, failed to obtain this full mercy during their lives. These two demons displeased Krishna by committing offenses against Brahmanas. But because demons were actually his eternal servants in disguise, in the end they also received his mercy. Opponents like the wrestlers Chanara and Mustika were less culpable. Fighting against Krishna under Kamsa's orders, they had become infected by Kamsa's envious spirit. Still, the wrestlers were allowed to enjoy the favor of being embraced by Krishna during combat, just like the coward boys of Raj in their mock fights with Krishna. Krishna also honored the wrestlers by conducting their funerals. After consoling the royal ladies, Lord Krishna, sustainer of all the worlds, arranged for the prescribed funeral rites to be performed. Bhagavatam 10:44-49. Lord Balaram repeatedly captured Jarasandha in combat, but each time released him, just to glorify Jarasandha's prowess. Krishna, Balaram, and their friends paid a personal visit to Jarasandha's palace to forever establish his reputation as a great follower of Brahminical culture and a great giver of charity. Pundraka and other enemies of the Lord received similar merciful treatment. In text 21, Atmana Marita, all killed by him in person, Narada has implied that they all attained liberation. Narada further confirmed this in a conversation with Krishna's father, Vasudeva. Inimical kings like Shishupal, Pundraka, and Salva were always thinking about Lord Krishna. Even while lying down, sitting, or engaging in other activities, they enviously meditated upon the bodily movements of the Lord, his sporting pastimes, his loving glances upon devotees, and other attractive features displayed by the Lord. Being thus always absorbed in Krishna, they achieved spiritual liberation in the Lord's own abode. What then can be said of the benedictions offered to those who constantly fix their minds on Lord Krishna in a favorable, loving mood? Bhagavatam 11:5-48. Demons who invaded Krishna's sacred land of Gokula obtained from Krishna even greater mercy than the kings who opposed him in Mathura and Dwarka. Kaliya was blessed with the touch of Krishna's limbs more thoroughly than the wrestlers in Kamsa's arena. While Krishna danced on Kaliya's heads, the serpent received Vrindavan dust directly from Krishna's feet, a benefit that Kaliya's wives praised in ecstasy. O Lord, we do not know how the serpent Kaliya has attained this great opportunity of being touched by the dust of your lotus feet. For this end, the goddess of fortune performed austerities for centuries, giving up all other desires and taking austere vows. Bhagavatam 10:16-36. Thus, Kaliya received special mercy, for Krishna used each one of Kaliya's heads as a dancing stage. Krishna also accepted worship and prayers from Kaliya, issued him personal orders, and granted him the island of Ramanaka, where he could live free from the fear of his arch enemy Garuda. Indeed, by leaving the mark of the Sudarshan disc on Kaliya's heads, Krishna arranged for Kaliya to gain Garuda's friendship and respect. Krishna allowed Putana to enter Gokul respectably, appearing among the cowherds dressed as a first-class lady. At the beginning of Sukadeva Goswami's description of Putana's encounter with Krishna, we are told, "My dear king, wherever people in any position perform their occupational duties of devotional service by chanting and hearing Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, there cannot be any danger from bad elements. Therefore, there was no need for anxiety about Gokula, while the Supreme Personality of Godhead was personally present." Bhagavatam 10:6-3. In other words, the witch Putana posed no threat to the inhabitants of Gokul. Krishna allowed her to enter simply to give her his mercy. Krishna placed his lotus feet, the object of Lord Brahma's meditation, on Putana's lap and allowed her to caress him. By this, Yashoda and Rohini were greatly astonished. Putana Rakshasi's heart was fierce and cruel, but she looked like an affectionate mother. Thus she resembled a sword in its sheath. Although seeing her within the room, Yashoda and Rohini, overwhelmed by her beauty, did not stop her, but remained silent because she treated the child like a mother. Bhagavatam 10:6-9. Thanks to having the opportunity to treat Krishna as her infant, Putana became his mother eternally, as several authorities in Srimad Bhagavatam affirm. According to Sukadeva Goswami, Putana was always hankering for the blood of human children, and with that desire she came to kill Krishna. But because she offered her breast to the Lord, she attained the greatest achievement. Bhagavatam 10:6-35. As Lord Brahma said to Lord Krishna, Sadve sad eva patan api sakula tvam eva deva pita. You have already arranged to give yourself to Putana and her family members in exchange for her disguising herself as a devotee. Bhagavatam 10:14-35. And in the words of Sri Uddhava, alas, how shall I take shelter of one more merciful than he who granted the position of mother to a she-demon, Putana, although she was unfaithful and she had prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast. Bhagavatam 3:2-23. Even Putana's dead body, restored to the horrible form of a witch, was sanctified as Krishna's playground. Without fear, the child Krishna was playing on the upper portion of Putana Rakshasi's breast, and when the gopis saw the child's wonderful activities, they immediately came forward with great jubilation and picked him up. Bhagavatam 10:6-18. And when our corpse was burned, it gave off a fragrance like precious aguru, which spread in all directions. Because Krishna had been sucked the breast of the Rakshasi Putana, when Krishna killed her, she was immediately freed of all material contamination. Her sinful reactions automatically vanished, and therefore, when her gigantic body was being burned, the smoke emanating from her body was fragrant like a guru incense. Bhagavatam.
Let's press the pause button there. Let's have a quick look of how more page. Okay, 2 or 3 pages left. But any particular observations about this, or questions, or reflections? Krishna's killing.
Well, it seems that like most people in the world are pretty inimical to Krishna in one way or another, but because they're not personally inimical, they're not getting any mercy. I mean, these people were kind of inimical to Krishna and wanted to kill him, but somehow, because they were in they knew Krishna as an enemy. I mean, I'm just saying, like, because they knew Krishna personally as an enemy, then they got Krishna's mercy. But like, it must be a special position, because most of the people in the material world are inimical to Krishna, or inimical to God or something. But they will never receive any special mercy.
Yeah. Even Narada Muni himself glorifies the demons in the, I think in the first or second canto, because we just read there how Kamsa was Krishna conscious, although it was unukul, it was unfavorable. So Narada Muni, he actually gives that as an example. I think we mentioned this last week, that the goal is to be absorbed in Krishna. And because Krishna is so pure, it doesn't matter how one is conscious of him, whether it's through envy, lust, greed, or envy or anger. It's to someone's benefit. So as we'll be hearing, they all get purified. Because Krishna, there is no enmity in him. There is no envy in him. So unlike ourselves or conditioned souls, is when someone is antagonistic towards one, then generally you're going to be antagonistic back. You're going to want to do them harm. Even though those are doing you harm, then for materialistic persons, then you want to do them harm in return. So even though many were envious of Krishna, and in one sense, if you do have any envy, it's definitely going to come out when you hear or see a Krishna, because he's the best. He's the most beautiful, he's the most learned, he's the most knowledgeable, he's the most renounced, all these opulences. So if you're materialistic and you are envious, it's definitely going to come out when you're in close proximity to Krishna. That's for sure. But just on that point, just for that Mother Lavanga's making, yes, these persons were obviously favored, because they was there when Krishna was personally present on earth. Even the trees were, everything on planet Earth was blessed. Everything, planet Earth herself praised how blessed she was to have the touch of Krishna's feet on her surface. So even there's a verse that describes as well, even the non-moving living entities were blessed. So all the trees, all the shrubs, all the demons, everything, everyone was blessed. That's for sure.
Yeah, I asked, I think it was like Pankajani Prabhu or his brother, a question when they came to London one time about when Krishna comes as Kalki and he kills all the demoniac people. I said, do they all get liberation? But he wasn't sure if they did or not. I don't know if you know anything.
Well, perhaps we might read, because perhaps that might be coming up. But I would say, yeah, that's what we generally understand, and that's what we've learned in these readings, isn't it? Actually, good point, because what we read in what we have read is that those who are killed by Krishna, they get liberation, but Krishna's incarnations, isn't it? We read last week.
We read that, yes.
Yeah, Krishna's incarnations, those killed by his expansions and incarnations do not receive the same mercy as those killed by Krishna himself.
Yeah.
But where they go exactly, I don't know. If you get killed by Kalki, then where's your destination? I couldn't answer that.
I have a, can I say something, Prabhu? here?
Please, yes, yes.
So this is the point we're talking about it with Kartik Chandra, because
Okay, yeah, he would know.
I brought up this topic of the scientist who says that there is no God, nothing. What happens to them? Because taking the same analogy here, that Kamsa and then Lord, they were constantly thinking about him as a person. Whereas,
His personal features, yeah.
yes, whereas these atheists, they do not recognize him as a person. So there is complete barrier. They're just saying that there is no God. They're just not acknowledging him.
Yeah, so that's also in regards to Malavanga's comment. So they are not as blessed as these demons. As another example of a demon who wasn't aware of the personality of Krishna, and he was killed by the Brahmanas, and he was blasphemous of the existence of God.
Yeah.
And he posed himself as God. Why are you Brahmins offering respect to God? You should offer respect to the God on earth, is the king. And that was King Vena,
Yeah.
wicked King Vena. It said that he actually went to hell. The Brahmins killed him and he went to hell. But here we have these demons, Shishapal, Dantavakra, etc. Kamsa, they were aware of Krishna, and still they wanted to kill him, but Krishna's like the sun. Anything comes in contact with him becomes purified.
This is also part of his pastimes, because if I remember correctly, when Gurudev was giving classes about this,
Gurudev, who's the Gurudev?
Niranjan Swami, when he was giving classes on those, he said they obtained liberation but didn't go back to Godhead, because even up until they being destroyed by Krishna, they still had that envy in them up until the last one. When they're about to leave the body, they recognize him, and that's when they get, the third time. That's the time they go back, because that element of hatred was constantly there.
Still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
By that same token, people today who are atheist or who do not recognize there is God, they cannot get liberated.
No.
They just have no chance. I don't know what happens to them, but you have to acknowledge somebody. For them, it's an abstract. Who is God? What is he? They want praman that, there is somebody called God. So that envy is within them, that they cannot, this is what Krishna said, I'm the one in control, whereas we are not in control.
Yeah, very good points.
Yeah.
Very nice, yeah. I was just thinking how, it's described, because that to appreciate Krishna in any way, even if it's at the last moment when, for instance, when Krishna is just punching his fist in one's face, as Kamsa, and then one realizes the potency and the power that person who is killing them, and then they come to their senses and they appreciate. So that appreciation means devotion, bhakti, and that's what saves them. So, it's an interesting study. It is a good to hear if you ever want to know what happens to the different demons that are killed by Krishna and the different types of envy they have, then this is the book to study. Here is where we're gonna here in this purport especially. Especially Putana is a very much common subject that comes up here. That was actually extraordinary. The fact that she wasn't a very saintly person, she would enjoy drinking the blood of young babies.
Yes.
So that doesn't make.
Yeah, but the only reason she gave is because the figure of her mother.
Yeah, I mean, even in today's standards, I think I mentioned before, if it came on the BBC News that there was a lady who was breaking into hospitals and killing babies and drinking their blood, even by today's standards, it would be horrific. So this is what type of character that she was. Of course, she's playing a role in Krishna's pastimes, but still, let's take it from that point of view. But she obtained, I heard it described, she attained a position, well, as we just read, she obtained a position of mother.
Mother, permanently, yes.
Yeah, an assistant. So sometimes I've heard it described, perhaps Sri Narada, you might, if you heard this, that one of the reasons she got mercy is because she dressed like a Rajbasi.
I
Just
haven't heard that one.
Because she just dressed like one of the residents of Raj. But here we have because she acted like a mother.
Mother.
So that's why this verse here, let's go on. I mentioned it last week, I'm pretty sure. This verse here is a very famous verse. Alas, how shall I take shelter of one more merciful than he? Gave the position of mother to the she-demon Putana, although she had poison on her breast. This is the verse, I think I said last week, but I'd say again, this is the verse that was spoken to Pundarik Vijayanidhi, and he went into ecstasy. You know, when Gadadhar Pandit and Mukunda, they went to see and this is the verse that Gadadhar, or that was spoke, or that Mukunda sang this verse and sent Pundarik Vijayanidhi into ecstasy. The ecstasy was the compassion or the mercy of Krishna.
Right. I was thinking what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why Uddhava was saying, alas, how can we take shelter one more merciful than he? And this verse is also one of the verses which was sang to entice Sukadev Goswami to come back and hear Srimad Bhagavatam. It was this verse.
Was it? Okay, I didn't know. Yeah, there was one verse. Okay, that's fantastic. Yeah.
And also another verse that glorifies Krishna entering Vrindavan. So anyway, that's Putana. That is extraordinary if you consider her mentality and her, she wanted it. Well, like all the demons, they want to kill Krishna. Yeah, but she got position in Goloka Vrindavan.
Lucky.
Yeah. So that's good, that's kind of good news for us because we're practicing favorable devotional service. We're not trying to kill Krishna.
No.
So if Krishna is giving such mercy to such persons, what about those who are actually conscientiously and sincerely trying to serve him? We can only but expect Krishna's mercy. Aisha Bandha Samukanda. Yeah. How can one not receive such mercy from such a merciful person as Krishna, who gives liberation even to the demons he kills? Yeah.
One day he feels sorry for us, then he'll shower his mercy to us.
Yeah, that's so. Alas, how can we take shelter of him? Yeah, shall we carry on? Any more observations about these this purport here? Good, so I might do a little study of this, note it down, the different demons and the types of liberation they got. Because there are differences here that's being explained. But let's read on, shall we? Perhaps, Mother Lavanga, you can just finish off this purport, continue where you left off. If I'm on the right page. Yeah, I think we're here.
Okay, thanks. Other persons who came to Gokul also obtained special mercy from Krishna. The sons of Kuvera, entrapped in the bodies of Arjuna trees, found themselves in the midst of the wonderful pastimes of Damodar. Krishna released these two sons from Narada's curse, listened to their prayers, and bestowed upon them prema bhakti. Agasura was graced by Krishna's entrance into Aga's huge mouth, along with the cowherd boys.
Yeah, I'll just interject there. This is interesting as well because Nalakuvera and Managriva, they got prema bhakti, but they didn't go back to the spiritual world. They went back to the heavenly planets, but they went back with prema bhakti.
Yeah.
So perhaps to spread Krishna consciousness in the heavenly planets a bit more. But go on.
Yeah. Aghasura was graced by Krishna's entrance into Agha's huge mouth along with the cowherd boys and calves, and Agha obtained liberation from Krishna in a way that astounded the whole world. His dead body served as an attraction in Vraj. O King Parikshit, when the python-shaped body of Aghasura dried up into merely a big skin, it became a wonderful place for the inhabitants of Vrindavan to visit, and it remained so for a long, long time. Bhagavatam 10:12-36. Sometimes Krishna would also push his loving devotees in Vraj. Punish his loving devotees in Vraj, as when he abandoned the gopis during the rasa dance. This he did to increase the intensity of their love for him. Because Krishna was enchanted by the gopis' love, his prime reason for abandoning them was to hear them speak like mad women in separation from him. As he explained, the reason I do not at once reciprocate the affection of living beings, even when they worship me, O gopis, is that I want to intensify their loving devotion. They then become like a poor man who has gained some wealth and then lost it, and who thus becomes so anxious about it that next page, yeah. You can think of nothing else. My dear girls, understanding that simply for my sake you have rejected the authority of worldly opinion of the Vedas and of your relatives, I acted as I did only to increase your attachment to me. Even when I removed myself from your sight by suddenly disappearing, I never stopped loving you. Therefore, my beloved gopis, please do not harbor any bad feelings toward me, your beloved. I am not able to repay my debt for your spotless service, even within a lifetime of Brahma. Your connection with me is beyond reproach. You have worshipped me, cutting off all domestic ties which are difficult to break. Therefore, please let your own glorious deeds be your compensation. The mercy of Krishna's punishment was evident not only when he appeared in his original form in Gokul, but also in many of his incarnations. As Sri Vamana, for example, when the Lord arrested Bali Daitaraj and humiliated him, the Lord declared to the world the strength of Bali's sober determination. Then, having taken away from him the throne of heaven, Lord Vamana gave him in exchange the greater kingdom of Sutalaloka with all its riches. The Lord then took up the post of doorkeeper at Bali's palace and defended the palace gates from the incursion of Ravana. And when Durvasa begged Lord Vamana to leave Bali for some time and defend Durvasa against the demon Kusha, Lord Vamana refused to do so without Bali's permission. In yet other incarnations, the personality of Godhead killed demons like Madhu, Kaitaba, and Kalanemi, who had enjoyed the pleasure of opposing the Lord in battle. They received great mercy from him. These histories are recounted in various Puranas. The mercy showed by Sri Krishna through his incarnations is a natural reflection of the supreme mercy he displays in his original form. The source of incarnations is glorified by the glories of each of his expansions.
Okay, thank you. No, that's it. Yeah, that's the end of this wonderful purport. And so another type of punishment is being highlighted here by Gopi Pranadana. I think, yeah. And that's here. Yeah, by Krishna's, in one sense, not really punishment, but here it's been described as that. Krishna sometimes would punish his loving devotees in Braj. So how does he do that? He abandoned them during Rasa. And then this verse comes on, there's a chapter called the Reunion. And this verse comes in that chapter where the gopis begin to question Krishna. Yeah. And then it's explained how Krishna reciprocates with his devotees. There's a chapter in one of my Guru Maharaj's books, thinks Na Parayaham, and it's dedicated to that, how Krishna reciprocates with his devotees. And it's based on the challenges of the gopis. Yeah. Yeah. And they call Krishna a Guru Druk. They say one who is one who is heartless, basically, one who doesn't care. He's heartless. He breaks people's hearts and just leaves them. And then Krishna has to defend himself. He has to speak of why he does what he does. And that's very important. I think Adiguru was kind of hinting on that on his last class he gave. It's not always as if Krishna is dancing on our tongue, for example, when we chant the holy name. Or sometimes in spiritual life we can go through what you could say a dry patch. You could say where it seems like you've made no advancement. It feels like even practically, it feels like you're getting nowhere, and no matter what you do, you can't really you can't really perceive Krishna much. You can't really. You seem may even feel like a distance. I think Satyananda Maharaj also speaks on this topic. It's also spoken of in Christian circles as well. It's what's the term they call it? When God seems to be silent. Something like that. The silence of God. That despite your devotional entreaties and your devotional activities and your prayers, the silence of God is called. But Krishna's nature is merciful. So if we accept that, then we can understand that, okay, this is Krishna's mercy. And how is it Krishna's mercy? Like the gopis, it increases their fervent attachment for him. Yeah, they've thought of him more intensely. So that's Krishna's punishment stroke mercy. That puts us in situations where we really take that bee bag and we really kind of put our heart in the chanting because of some situation. Yeah, that's Krishna's mercy. Yeah. And also to be noted here is that it's not a smooth ride. You can see Krishna's devotees, etc. It's not like it's not like what's that called? We say a path paved with gold, or there's no trials, there's no tests.
No smooth sailing.
Yeah, it's no smooth sailing. Krishna's going to Krishna's the master mystic, so he's going to create situations where we're going to have to really call out to him. Anyway,
isn't it Muli Prabhu? It's Muli Prabhu is testing, isn't it? He tests us. That's the reason the sailing is not smooth. It's up and down.
Well, yeah, in one sense, you could say. I mean, the word is often used, test, and it is right in one sense. But let's look at it from another point of view. He's pulling love out of us. He's pulling attachment to him from us. So if you look at it like that, it's not a test in one sense. You could look at a test because you have a choice of which way to go. You can either tick the right answer or the wrong answer. It's like a test. But actually, from another perspective, Krishna in one sense, he's testing our devotion. So he's given reason.
Towards him.
Yeah. Krishna wants us to let go of this material world, and he ain't sentimental how he's going to do it.
No, definitely not.
He's going to, that's his objective, to bring his devotees back. And if we have at one point surrendered to him, which we have, at least we've taken Diksha, we've said this, we made these vows. And so Krishna's going to pull us towards him, or pull us towards pure devotion. Yeah. A lot more could be said about that, but anything else on these points? Otherwise we can go into next text onwards. Now we've heard about these different demons killed by Krishna and his punishment. So who does see a hand up there? Mother Raj Kishore, you can take us now into text. What is it?
30.
30.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see where we're going to go from here. 1 second, there's a lot going on. Okay.
Text 30.
Yeah.
Sri Parikshit said, while singing enthusiastically in this way, the sage instructed his own tongue, which was greedy to chant the glories of Lord Madhava. Oh, you are too busy talking about the greatness of our master. To stop that tongue, he then seized it with his teeth. Commentary. In jest, Narad chastised his tongue for misbehaving. His tongue was sincerely relishing the pleasure of glorifying the moon born from the ocean of the Madhu dynasty. But there was little hope to accomplish much by this attempt. Brahma, with his 4 tongues, and Ananta, with his thousands, had failed to fully describe the glories of Sri Madhava. How then could Narad's one insignificant tongue be so impudent as to try? Text 31. Dear tongue, he then acknowledged, this effort of yours attests to your great fortune. As far as you are able, just go on speaking something about these beloved devotees of Krishna. Commentary. To avoid discouraging his tongue, Narad gave it some practical advice. If you cannot adequately praise Krishna, then at least try to praise his devotees. If you cannot describe the devotees' transcendental glories, then simply describe the activities. If you cannot describe everything about those activities, then just describe something. Even if you cannot speak with full realization, speak anyway. The attempt to say something will be all auspicious. Narad proposed to his tongue, you could do better to glorify the Lord's devotees than to glorify the Lord. Although the greatness of the devotees is also ultimately indescribable, the Lord's greatness has no beginning or end, defeats all attempts at the analysis and classification, and cannot be fully understood even by the Lord himself. To Narada, however, the Lord's devotees appear similar to human beings. He has seen them. So his tongue should be able to describe their deeds. If his tongue offends the devotees by making false statements about them or by distorting accounts of their activities, the devotees will easily overlook those mistakes, because devotees are always compassionate to unfortunate persons. Therefore, Narada recommends glorifying the Vaishnavas as the best engagement for his tongue. Text 32. Sri Narada continued, O great saintly Pandava, is anyone bold enough to let his tongue describe the unique love for Krishna that each of you has, or a special mercy he bestows upon you? Commentary. Feeling himself unfit, Narad indicates that only a shameless person would dare attempt to elaborate on the greatness of each of the Pandavas. But Narad cannot stop, because his tongue is reluctant to speak about anything else and refuses to remain silent. Text 33. Your mother Prutha once heard from the mouth of Akrura a single statement by Krishna, sweet with affection and meant to console her. As soon as she heard it, she plunged into a swiftly flowing current of prema. Commentary. On one occasion in Mathura, as recounted in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna asked Akrura to visit the Pandavas to see how they were withstanding Duryodhana's harassments. Krishna told Akrura, you are indeed the best of our friends, so please go to Hastinapur and, as well-wisher of the Pandavas, find out how they are doing. Bhagavatam 10:48-32. During this visit, the Pandavas' mother, Prutha, met with Akrura. Because Akrura was a pure Vaishnava, the very first words she heard him speak kindled in her heart the ecstasy of love for Krishna. Text 34. She often lamented with poignant words that could shatter the heart of anyone who heard them, and she bore the burden of love for all of you, staying tied to you only because you are very dear to Lord Krishna. Commentary. Mother Prutha fully trusted Krishna's protection because she was a surrendered devotee. Her complaints and expressions of anxiety did not arise from the materially contaminated consciousness, but rather were her own special symptoms of ecstasy. she did not hesitate to open her heart directly to Krishna, as she did during the reunion at Kurukshetra. Krishna, Krishna, O great yogi, O supreme soul, the protector of the universe, O Govinda, please protect me who have surrendered to you. I and my sons are being overwhelmed by trouble. For persons fearful of death and rebirth, I see no shelter other than your liberating lotus feet, for you are the Supreme Lord. Bhagavatam 10:49, 11 and 12. Naturally, for a pure devotee of Krishna, Prutha wanted to give all her love to him, forgetting material attachments to family and everything else. But because her sons were also exclusive devotees of Krishna, she maintained her affection for them. Text 35.
Any questions there or comments, observations? Just looking at the time, got 15 minutes left. So just see. What's the main theme? Can someone give a little summary of these few verses?
Is it like if you want to speak, just speak of Krishna? The tongue is ordered to speak only Krishna.
Yeah.
Otherwise, remain quiet.
That's it. Yeah. But, yeah. Interesting. A bit of comedy here in one sense. Narada is chastising his tongue. But there's some nice encouraging words regarding. Sometimes we may be hesitant to. Well, in one sense, for one reason or another, if we're asked to speak about Krishna. But in one sense, I mean, what can we say? How can you possibly glorify Krishna enough? It says here, just read this again. At least try to praise his devotees. If you cannot describe the devotees, the devotees' transcendental glories, then simply describe their activities. If you cannot describe everything about those activities, just describe something. Even if you cannot speak with full realization, speak anyway. The attempt will say something. The attempt to say something will be auspicious. Just the attempt to say something about Krishna or his devotees. So I think perhaps we spoke about most things before in the classes for some time. But I remember there are some devotees who, I personally know that they're very expert at glorifying devotees. Yeah. Whenever you meet them, they're going to be speaking about someone. Oh, this devotee is so great. This devotee did this devotee say that. This devotee is like this devotee is like that. So it's a very endearing quality to Krishna, and Krishna prefers it. That's what's coming up. He actually prefers it than speaking about himself. Although that's also wonderful, Swavanam Kirtanam and Vishnu. But because the devotees are so dear to Krishna, that's one way to Krishna's heart. If you actually glorify those devotees who are very dear to Krishna. That's why also there's so much advancement to be had in praising the spiritual master, for example, because they're so dear to Krishna. So here, Narada Muni is chastising his tongue for even trying to glorify the Lord. So then he's continued glorifying the devotees of the Lord. Specifically, now we've got the context. He's gone back to the Pandavas, just in case we forgot what is the context of this conversation. Narada is speaking to the Pandavas, glorifying them like anything. And they haven't started speaking yet. I think in the beginning, so they're going to start speaking soon, I would think, and probably retracting everything that Narada's saying. And they're going to direct Narada to someone else who's got more mercy. And remember, we mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, the fact that these devotees are sending Narada to other devotees is also, it does actually show the different levels of devotion that these different devotees have, and how they are and where they are on the hierarchy, if you want to call it that. of prema, because all these devotees have prema, but the different hierarchies of prema. Yeah, like for instance, Prahlad, we see, but there's devotees above him, and we heard about these devotees. Now we've gone to the Pandavas, so the Pandavas are now going to, and that's why this is such a brilliant exposition, because Sanatana Goswami is really expertly showing the different degrees of prema, you know. So that's what he's doing here, you know. Yeah, let's. You like to carry on reading, Mother? There's no one with the hand up, so you can carry on reading.
Okay.
If there's any
Text
questions or
35.
comments, if not, continue.
Okay. Text 35. Krishna, the life of the Yadus, tried for a long time to leave for Dwarka, but by enveloping him with plaintive prayers, she kept him in her home. Commentary. Sri Krishna had stayed with the Pandavas throughout the war between Yudhishthir and Duryodhan, but he was also Yadu Jivan, the life of the Yadus. So without his presence, the residents of Dwarka seemed almost dead. Krishna tried to leave Hastinapur to return to Yadus, but Mother Prutha dissuaded him with her prayers and induced him to stay a few months longer. Those prayers of Prutha are included in the first canto, chapter 8 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Text 36. Krishna bestowed upon Yudhishthir the highest prestige, greater than that of anyone else in the upper and lower worlds, and by favors like allowing Bhim to kill Jarasandha, Krishna granted Bhim unequaled fame. Commentary. To enhance the reputation of King Yudhishthir, Krishna encouraged him to perform Rajasuya sacrifice. Krishna helped the Pandavas dispose of Jarasandha, who was the major obstacle in this sacrifice, by giving Bhim the honor of defeating Jarasandha in one-to-one combat. During Jarasandha's repeated attack on Mathura, Krishna himself had gotten many opportunities to kill him, but Krishna patiently waited for the suitable opportunity so that the credit would go to Bhima. Text 37. Saintly Arjun became renowned throughout the world for his intimate friendship with Krishna. I can never sing all the glories of Arjun, even if I recite hundreds of Purana. Commentary. Narad calls Arjun Bhagavan out of great respect. This term is usually reserved for God, but the sage could justify using it by citing this scriptural definition. A person who knows about the creation and destructions of the universe, the karmic comings and goings of embodied creatures, and the forces of enlightenment and illusion may be called Bhagavan. Vishnu Puran 6.578. Text 38. And as for Nakul and Sahadev, everyone has seen many times how fixed they are in the love for Krishna, as shown, for example, by how those twins behaved in the deliberation on whom to worship first in the Rajasuya. Commentary. The twins Nakul and Sahadev worked together so closely that whatever either of them did could as well have been done by the other, and everything either of them did was impelled by the pure love for Krishna.
Yeah, actually, if you read that episode, that part of the Mahabharata, Nakula and Sahadev, they speak wonderfully about the glories of Krishna as to be the first worshipped. I think it was there that Jarasandha who opposed that?
Shishupal.
Shishupal, excuse me. Yeah, Shishupal was not in agreement. But there's a wonderful speech that Nakula and Sahadev give, glorifying Krishna. Okay, just reminded of Mahabharata there, just reminding me of that. But you can continue, Mother.
Text 39. Lord Hari personally sanctified Sri Draupadi's hair during the Rajasuya sacrifice and other special festivals. He would call Draupadi dear friend. He relieved her of the fear of Atri's son Durvasha and fear of others, including Dushasan. He removed all her sorrow. Commentary. During the Rajasuya and other sacrifices, Krishna, with his own hand, sprinkled Queen Draupadi's hair with the water from the ritual vessel sanctified by mantras. He spoke to her with the affection reserved for intimate family members. He protected her by frightening situations involving Durvasha Muni, the temperamental son of Atri, and saved her from the shame of being disrobed by Dushasan in the royal assembly.
Yeah, I just asked the question here. Does someone know that pastime where she was saved by the wrath of the Vasa Muni?
When he went with all those, when he was on pilgrim and he stopped there, and there was just one grain of rice. Is that the one?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
With Duryodhan who sent him there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the one.
Cunning, very cunning Duryodhan sent the Vasa Muni.
Well, he came back pretty belly full after his bathing
Yeah,
in it and the rituals.
And that's where what's that called? That plate that she called
Akshay Patra.
Akshay Patra, yeah. There's it's a big word today. Akshay Patra. It's a big movement in India. Akshay Patra. Yeah, so it was that she could feed the unlimited amount of people. Because that was one of Yudhishthira Maharaj's great stresses and anxieties about being in a forest. In one sense, he really appreciated being in a forest and being with the Brahmins. It was welcome to him in one sense from the intrigues of the palace. But he was so felt bad that he couldn't actually feed the Brahmanas to his full satisfaction. So Draupadi got this Akshaya Patra where she could feed everyone.
Yeah.
As many until what was it? Until she ate.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
So then Savannah was told that when disciples, I think he has 60,000 disciples having to follow the Vasa Muni wherever he goes. And he's as we know, I think he's a partial incarnation of one of the Rudras, so he has a tendency to get angry.
Yeah.
Especially if there's some overstepping in culture and etiquette.
Yeah.
So then he came and she was very worried and very concerned. So Krishna found one bit of rice there. Yeah. And Krishna ate it, wasn't it? It was Krishna ate it.
Yes.
And they all felt bloated and full when they was taking baths. So and there was, and also the Vasa Muni he had the disagreement with Ambarish Maharaj, again became angry.
Yeah. But then he also blessed Radharani's cooking.
Yeah, he comes up there again. Yeah. But one thing we can meditate on here we're seeing quite graphically to the degree that Krishna goes to actually serve his servants, to actually care for his devotees. Yeah. So we could say, based on this, the same is happening in a contemporary way to his devotees as well. But because Krishna is not personally present, it may not always be appreciated. How Krishna is helping his devotees in contemporary times. I know Niranjana Swami apparently is writing one book, isn't he? Or he's collecting one. He's collecting some experiences of the devotees in Ukraine.
Yes, he's. I think
compiling it into like a little book.
He has done that, and I'm just waiting for it to come on Kindle. Otherwise, it's free for downloading.
Yeah. So it's there already, yeah? It's there. It's there.
Yeah, I think it happened about a month or 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, so this is, as far as I know, it's devotees from Ukraine giving their personal accounts and their testimonies of Krishna's assisting them or feeling Krishna's shelter in very, very difficult times. So just keep this in mind when we're reading about this extraordinary mercy. Of course, these are extraordinary devotees, but every devotee is special to Krishna. So Krishna is very much helping us on a day-to-day basis.
Prabhu, I see that in Kadamba Kanana Maharaj. I mean, look at him. He's so ill. But when he's talking or giving, doing still his kirtan full swing, where does it come from?
Yeah, Bhakti Shakti.
Yes. Because normally you would find a person that ill would be in hospital with lots of medication and everything. I mean, if anybody needs proof, this is it. What you just said. Krishna definitely, because up until the last moment, he will carry on giving Krishna consciousness to others.
Yep, same as Bhakti Maharaj did.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Krishna's mercy ki jai.
Yeah. Haribol.
Haribol. So let's keep this in mind. Krishna is very much active, very much active. That's why I think I mentioned it before. Myself, whenever I seem to perceive, to one degree or another, Krishna's help, and it's quite apparent, and I feel quite appreciative of it, then I put it down in my journal. I kind of take note of it, and I've got journals going back like 22 years.
Wow.
Many years, and I look back, and definitely if I haven't wrote down these instances, even if they're small, then I definitely would forget them.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I'm feeling if I'm feeling a little bit down, then I read.
Yeah.
I read some mercy I got 3 years ago, and it gives me hope. Oh yeah, that was nice.
But is that probably because we are on the path of Krishna consciousness, that we connect everything to Krishna? Is that because good things, bad things happen to everybody on this earth planet? Only they put it down to so-called luck and bad luck.
Yeah, but we don't.
No, that's what I'm saying.
We know Krishna's behind it.
Exactly. So
we have appreciation for the personal touch of the Lord himself. So we're very clear.
Yes. So the reason for that is because we are on this path. We don't use the word, oh, I was so lucky. We never say, I've never heard devotees using that word for a long time. No. Oh, that was a bit of a luck, I got so and so.
Krishna's grace, Krishna's mercy.
Krishna's plans, he knows everything.
Yeah.
We immediately say that. So once again, it's all to do with the conscience, how we gear ourselves at looking at things.
Yeah, it's called being Krishna conscious. That's what being Krishna conscious is about, is that you perceive the world in a Krishna conscious way. You perceive what's happening to you, or you perceive what's not happening to you.
Yeah.
That's Krishna's grace.
Murli Prabhu, can I just say something as well?
Yes, please.
Yeah, you were just saying you're writing all the journals. You think you will probably, bring out the book? You might write the book, and then we can have opportunity to see your mercy, what Krishna is giving you as well.
I don't know. Well, I've got it there. I don't know what I might do.
We can share it all, or it would be nice. Yeah.
Anyway, it's there. It's there. I don't know what I might do with it. I mean, I'm not the only one. I know others. Chandramuli Maharaj writes.
That's really good idea. Excellent. Yeah.
Chandramuli Maharaj is quite big on journaling. He's given a little seminar on it, and other devotees as well. Yeah, because our life is not ordinary.
No, definitely
we're serving
not.
Krishna, so we're having wonderful experiences.
And I think it's what it is as well, Murli Prabhu. We are appreciating it as well. As the time goes by, we are treasuring it. We are appreciating, and we are just grateful what Krishna is doing to all of the devotees.
Yeah, that's Krishna conscious. It means that you appreciate more and more Krishna's grace. Mother Chandravali, looked like you was going to say something.
I was going to say, you know how in a Ras dance, every gopi felt that Krishna was dancing with her.
Yeah.
It's like that. Every devotee have their own.
Very good point. Yeah, good example. Yeah.
Very true. Yeah.
I just did this, and look how Krishna make that, and this shows how Krishna is kind, that he's with everyone. I mean, imagine how many we are so insignificant, and he's in our life.
Yeah, but it's not just the devotees. He's with everyone. Only they're not acknowledging it.
That's it.
With everyone, not just the devotees.
Yeah, that's right. Just again, it's a good we're highlighting this because we're reading about the mercy that these known devotees get, the Pandavas. But again, Krishna just highlighting the point again that it's not only them. Krishna gives his mercy to all devotees. All right.
It's such a good idea to do, I think.
Because
try it.
A good Vaishnava would look at others the way that Krishna has, or the books or his scriptures or our teachers tell us, everyone is loved by Krishna. Animals, human beings, two-legged, four-legged, everyone.
All part and parcels of Krishna.
But this is really, because when we all get together, all we devotees are doing, it's to bring the other people in. They are so lost. Millions and billions of people are so lost. But Krishna loves them anyway.
Yes, well said.
It's nice.
Sorry, Monica Motherman, you were saying something?
Though, nice to reflect and write down.
Monica, you're breaking up.
Yeah, you are.
Can you try
I was
again?
just saying that it's such a lovely idea what you just did. I didn't even think about it, but I think every day to write down.
Should Prabhupada said devotees should.
I will do that.
You find yourself. I mean, I don't write. I mean, when I was first doing it, my early journals, then I'll write something every day. But then I found it from myself. I found that sometimes I was so busy and so tired that I just wanted to. So now I do it's more occasional, every 2 days, every 3 days. Sometimes I miss 1 day. Sometimes I do every day for 4 days. And I'm not a bit of advertising here, but there's an app I use called Day One. It's called Day One Journaling. It's good because you can put photos in it as well.
Yeah,
it's quite good if you're unless you prefer just good old fashioned pen and paper.
Yeah,
that's great.
It's a good idea. I think
download on the computer and then you just own it.
Yeah, that's it. It's an app. And it goes on, and it like if I write like I've got it on. It costs a bit. You have to pay something, but if I write something on my iPad, it comes up. It crosses over on my laptop, and vice versa. So anyway, but the point is, it's good. A lot of devotees do it, journaling, and you can look back, and it's good.
Thank you for.
What do we call it? My Journal? What do we call that app?
Day One.
Day One.
Yeah. Actually, what I do is I send it. I'll find the thing and I'll send it to Chandravali, and you can have a look at it.
And we'll be following you.
No, not my Day One. I mean,
no, that it's such a such a good idea because you can forget. You can forget that Krishna was involved in your day to day in some aspect of your life.
Yeah.
And to write it down, I think when you go back and think, oh yeah, this happened because Krishna's mercy. Or this didn't happen because Krishna.
You feel like that. You'd always feel Krishna is in your life.
Yeah,
yes, of course. But something special, special.
No, Krishna is there all the time.
So you
special, my dear.
No, he's there. He's doing it.
Yeah, I think. But when you write it, when you actually write it down, it's kind of like a little spark that you think, oh yes, I remember.
Yeah, at least that's my experience. As I said, when I read back 5 or 6 years ago, 10 years ago, then I see things that I completely forgotten about. I think, wow.
Yeah, I remember Sutapa said it as well. Once he came, he was saying he was looking back about his sannyas when he had a word with KK, And what you said, it was so good, and he was explaining to us when he came the other time. So yeah, he
explaining
does that
about what, like
about,
he keeps a journal or keeps a
he keeps a journal himself. And when he looks back, when he was talking to his Guru Maharaj, and Guru Maharaj was saying him about something to do with sannyas, and he couldn't believe it. It's coming true what it was that time, you know. It was just a conversation they had, but it was amazing when he was saying, when he came around and he was talking to Rishi and Anish and Gita, you know. So yeah, nice.
All right. Should we pause there for today?
Thank you.
Thank you so
discussion
much
on Krishna's mercy. And look forward to next week's Katha. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
His Grace Muli Prabhu ki jai.
Krishna
Krishna Namo Namo.
Hare Krishna.